I think it'll work. I think it's going to be streaming on YouTube. Like there's a NASA astronaut, this lady, and she comes out and she just proves flat Earth. With like the speech. Like there's a NASA astronaut. She disproves flat Earth with ships going over the horizon. Well, like the freaking astronaut is trying to use that as a proof, and that video will play right after a really good video, like whether it be Globebusters or whether it be Eric DeBay or there's this other guy, this what's that guy's name? He's so good. He just joined Globebusters, but he does these just does visual proofs over and over again. Just I'm gonna actually see if I can find his channel because it's worth saying. The point is you can't find this stuff. And I only know it, Walt, because I was doing this 2 years ago. That's the only reason why I know. Like I know that there's a real channel out there somewhere. I wouldn't know this. It's Taboo Conspiracy too.
Absolutely great channel. Yes.
I mean, and these are like, they're calm, they're well done, they're short. This used to be at the top whenever you would search for flat Earth. And it's freaking not. And not only is it not, it's like embarrassingly not. Like it's
and even if you watch 2 or 3 that you know about back to back, like purposely go to channels you know and watch them. If you come back to your suggested list the next day expecting to see more of the same, no, you're going to see a bunch of crap. They have definitely got it geared to keeping any kind of truth out of the search, out of the suggested, all of that.
They've gone really out of their way to do it. For example, if you do flat Earth, the very first movie that shows up has nothing to do with flat Earth at all. Can you see my screen? You should be.
Yeah, I see it. I see it.
It's that crazy ass guy that even says. He even says, "I don't want to. I'm not about flat Earth. I'm just this rocket guy. I just came here to shoot my rocket off," and that's number one. And there's no way that should be number one. That's completely false. And it's not even informative. It's a minute and 11 seconds long. And then you go into Logan Paul, which is, oh my God. Wow. And then here, look at this, the pizza pie. This is all it is. It's just Neil freaking Tyson.
How far down before we get to the Alex Jones thing? Have you seen that yet?
The new Alex Jones one? Look at this. Here's another one. It's no one thinks that. Not one person thinks that. Here's Rocket Man again. Here it is, more pizza pie.
Scroll back up a bit. So you see that one about the guys that are baffled by the guys who believe flat Earth? Little right there. Philip is absolutely baffled by the men who believe the Earth is flat. That was the guys who were that's Gary, Heather, Darren, Darren Nesbitt,
and Martin Kinney,
and our buddy Martin Kinney, and they were on this show last year. And that show, the morning show people on their website put up a poll about, do you think the Earth's flat? And it was blowing away. Flat Earth was like way in the lead. It was in the millions. They finally had to take it off of their site.
Wow. Well, and it's people have to understand how important it is for YouTube to spike this algorithm so bad. It's like, I mean, that's a lot of work, guys. Like to put that's work. You're burning calories. You're burning calories, and you're not burning calories on Blue Avian.
Dude, I can never not think about the chicken lady from Kids in the Hall when you type this in or when you talk about the avians.
You're not getting that. You're just getting the data that you want. It's such a big proof that there's putting so much time into killing that flat earth thing. It's really, really bad.
And even the disinfo people that have done, I mean, like I was saying about the Alex Jones thing, we looked at it last week on the show. Everybody was pumped up because it was such a positive story or it was a positive piece. And so we watched it, my first view of it. And it was great up until that last little section when they start talking about Admiral Byrd's diary and the hollow earth theory and the aliens in the earth and how all that was disproven, of course. But why are we even mentioning it in this video if we're trying to get a point about flat earth across? Why are we even bringing up hollow earth and aliens? So that's the last thing in that video that people see and hear. That's why they did it. So it's classic disinfo.
Gotcha. Yeah. What it makes me want to do is try as quick as I can to find as many newspaper microfiche records and just try and save all that data, because the Library of Alexandria is burning right in front of us right now, and I'm not making that up. I know what it looked like. I was on this shelf last year, and there were scrolls that are gone now, and they're gone in a different way. They're gone by they're completely covered with 300 more scrolls that are all complete bullshit, and it's really, really bad. I watched a guy today try and tell me on video how it's physically impossible for them to fake the moon landing because it would just be too hard, and that it would be a less calorie burn to physically go to the moon. And this is the things that are playing like right after you watching one of those proofs I was telling you about, like Taboo Conspiracy 2. It's like right after that, that's what you're getting hit with.
Have you noticed the annoying little left corner, you need to know about our new terms and conditions every time you go to YouTube of late? Little pop-up telling you there's new, well, it may not have started yet on yours, but I've been having it for about a week now. Almost every third time I go to YouTube, a little notification pops up telling me that their terms and conditions have changed. Do I want to read them, or do I just say okay? And I say okay because I don't want to read them. Turns out some of the new terms that they're really pushing are the fact that if they feel your channel isn't commercially viable, they can delete it. You will no longer have access to any of the content that you put up on YouTube if they decide you're not commercially viable now.
Gotcha. And that's literally what's happening before our eyes. We are losing the Library of Alexandria before our eyes. And that's why there's not one candidate, not one governor that's ever come out and said, hey guys, you know what would be great is if we were to create our own Wayback Engine. The North Carolina residents are using our tax dollars to create our own Wayback Engine right now, because we want the internet to stay for the people. And so we're realizing that we're fighting against corporations. We want to create an archive of that the exact opposite happens. Instead, everyone's being told, oh, it's all taken care of because Google's got it, man. It's all good. Like the exact opposite is happening. This is exactly what happened in Alexandria. Everyone's like, oh, if that's important, you're going to have to give that scroll. You're going to have to go give that scroll to those psychopaths. You mean the ones that have butt sex with each other? Yeah. You need to give it to them, and that way we can preserve it all. And it's like, oh, there's a fire. Oh, did you look at that? Oh, and here
where's my fiddle?
All I have are these hot dogs and this stick and this. Is it marshmallows? Oh, this is awful. That's what we have happening instead. Then you got little shitbags like this guy going, yeah, it's like literally impossible to fake it. How could you even fake something in a studio like that? What are they going to hire Stanley Kubrick for it? Like, how is that possible? Is what this guy's saying. It's freaking nuts. And then meanwhile, this guy's saying
that's great. I love that video.
That he should be saying, which is that, dude, the moon is plasma. Thank God that's there. Like, thank goodness this guy's here.
have to be an ordinary, humble person who wants to serve mankind with what man has striven for from the beginning of consciousness, with truth and understanding of the world. Now, one thing, you have a theory about the moon, and we expect to be able to get observable facts about the moon fairly soon. What is your theory? Well, it is by now rather more than a theory. 10 or 11 years ago, I stated to various scientists that the moon is not a piece of rock, but it is a plasma phenomena, cosmic plasma. And that this fact will eventually be confirmed. I made certain predictions which were already confirmed in 1958, and the situation now is coming close to a complete confirmation. What will be the result if you're proved to be correct in your theories? The result will be profound and decisive, because it will give proof that a complete reinvestigation of the laws of nature is necessary. Because if the moon is a plasma, no man will ever land on it. Self-landing attempts will all fail. That means that the mass of the moon is far less than is currently assumed. It's in a different state of energy, and it has far less mass. That means there is no more explanation for the tides. If the moon, for example, had only 1,000th part of its current mass, then the tides would only be 2 inches high under conventional theories instead of sometimes 14 feet. And that means that if it is proved that the moon is a plasma, then all gravitational theories are out, and the new concept of the cosmos and of its laws has to be evolved. Aren't you?
Isn't that awesome? Thank God that's there.
And I have my copy saved away from the internet.
Yeah, good for you. That's what we have to do. Like that's what we would actually have to do to preserve this information, because the exact opposite's happening. It's this is how history gets rewritten. This is how cities get buried. This is it gets buried in rubble, and the rubble is dissonance. It's literal bullshit that's being thrown on top of it. And man, it's getting worse. That's why
I think that's a lot of what the whole Mandela thing is. The Mandela Effect is a lot of them slowly testing the waters to see how drastically they can literally change history in front of our eyes. And people just go, oh, it's this thing. It's not them doing it. It's, some magical energetic effect from dimensional time travel. Not the fact that they're just changing it because it's all on the internet now.
Yeah. Well, and because it's all on the internet, a fascinating thing happens. You now have a framework for the zeitgeist. And when you have a framework for the zeitgeist, you have entrainment. I'm sorry, I'm sounding really complicated. If you have 2 grandfather clocks side by side, if you wait a few days, their pendulums are going to become in sync. And the pendulum that's going to dictate what the other pendulum does is going to be the one with the biggest dick. And the internet is the biggest dick. It is the one world zeitgeist. And if you have the power to put a lot, I should stop this analogy right now, but if you can put a lot of blood into that that topic, you will have a throbbing licorice dildo that flies around from drone wings. I'm going to stop this analogy now, but my point is that you can stock. I was explaining this today to Judith, that I was like, what we don't understand is that all of us, every one of us, has a fishing pole inside of a pond that is fucking stocked from 2 trucks. This is a trout pond that is stocked from a truck, and that truck comes twice a week. And the first truck is called the AP, and the second truck is called Reuters. And literally all of the fish that we could possibly catch, we're each going to throw our fish in this fake pond that was dug out with a bulldozer last summer. And we're going to pull out a fish, and we're going to get credit for it. We're going to be, wow, that's amazing. Look at that 3-foot long fish. And they're all coming from the same truck. It doesn't matter. It's no different than it reminds me of a roadside gem mine where you go into the gem mine, and because you're 5, right? You go into the gem mine and your mom pays $18 or whatever, and you get a little shovel and you get to go over to the dirt, and you were digging, you were mining for gems, by God. And you find a gem, you find a ruby in there, and it's there's actually a formula they have. You can actually ask them, and it's like, yeah, each pile of dirt has, you know, $1.78 in gems, and you know, this is our profit margin, here's how it works, and it's, you know, it's legit. I'm not even bashing it. But what I'm trying to say is that we are truthing at a freaking roadside gem mine, and all of us are pretending that that's not the case, that we're all 5 years old and we're pulling from that. And the internet is going to make that, it's the internet created that. It's creating that because of the centralization. And
I think that's why it's so integral that people do exactly what's going on right now with, like I said, the Globe Live tour. People, shout out to Roxanne, Jason, Dave, the whole crew. I don't want to start naming everybody. I'll miss somebody. But being out there in people's space as they walk by with signage, with flyers, with information, with open hearts, with a smile, you know, energy, exchanging it, the prana exchange, not like you said, we're sitting here feeding this freaking beast right here. That's what we're doing right now, feeding the prana to that beast and acting like, oh, this is fine. We're getting the truth out. And it's just, well, I think we're starting to feel the burn. I think we're starting to understand
we're not feeding the beast. We are feeding the Akashic record. However, that Akashic record is only going to take our words, but it's also taking 3 million other words, and 78% of them are generated by a machine. And that's the thing that we're, if we're fighting anything, it's not the internet, it's not this beast, it's what I just showed you on YouTube. When you do a search now, it's ridicule. You're looking at mechanical hyenas that have been created in the sphere and placed on there. And the exact same thing happens on Twitter. You know this. If I use the word flat earth in a tweet, there will automatically show up 3 or 5 people that I've never seen, that are not connected to me in any way, that have no mutual followers, whatever, and will instantly throw like some sort of insult or an attempt at ad hominem. It's always ad hominem. That's what starts it. And I see so many of my friends fall into the trap of engaging. And all you're doing when you're engaging is that you're showing that ridicule is out there. Even if my friend defeats the ridicule, right? It's still, by replying to it, you're still showing a tweet that shows that here's ridicule that automatically follows anything in flat earth. Here is this stupid, ridiculous picture of the pizza pie earth, you know, so you can look at, and you can, if you want to go here, that's what the beast is saying. If you want to go here, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you a bit of your ego. And I'm talking about good ego right now. All ego is only good. If you miss my talk on ego, you need to watch that. But it's going to cost you ego. If you want to look at cosmology, you're going to have to get past the ridicule. And you don't need to defeat NASA Lover 106. That's if you defeat him in an argument after 17 tweets, 3 days of proofs, and posting all these pictures, you don't understand. You've already lost. You lost the second that you responded to the ridicule, because everyone that follows you sees that you responded to ridicule. It doesn't matter how well you did. All they see is that on top of what you were responding to, even though you responded well, You're just revealing that there's ridicule there, that's what is waiting for you the second you try and embrace your own cosmology. That's whack.
Before the crew of trolls got turned loose on us, truly, in the early days, when there were legitimate people asking legitimate questions. I think that's where half the followers I have on Twitter came from, were from the debates we actually would have in those TLs. Not, like you said, people that you know association with, nothing, and then they're showing up just because you put the trigger word in your tweet. But truly would ask questions, would get in DMs, we would set up groups. That's how some of the people in the group that we're all in now, came to be. I mean, it truly was, in the early days, a platform that could happen on. But the algorithms, I just saw an article go through earlier about our buddy Jack and how the new Twitter format's going to work if some kind of bullshit. I don't know. I didn't even read it because it's just like I'm up to here with all that. Him and Zuckerbot and the whole crew.
Yeah, before Google became Google, there were a lot of search engines out there. And the Alta Vista was one. Excite was one. There was a lot of them, and that was a beautiful time in the internet. And I didn't understand at the time just how amazing that was to have. That was before Google was even. No one even used Google then.
I remember the first little article in Wired magazine, I think it was, or it might have been one of the computer magazines, about this new search engine, Google. Check it out. Da, da, da. At the time, I think I was a Jeeves man. Ask Jeeves. Sure, I'll check it out. Here we are.
Yep. That the exact same thing happened then that happened with Facebook. Because what happened then is that everyone at the same time, a vibration, someone took a tuning fork, tuned to the word Google, and struck it, and it created a vibration, and they stuck it in the bone of America and the zeitgeist because they have a loud enough voice. And it said, try Google. Everyone said that at the same time. All the 5 corporations anointed, right? They anointed Google as the search engine. And it became the de facto, the only way to happen. Now, Eric Schmidt had to go to the Pentagon after Google. There's no other way this would have worked. It's because the military anointed Google through Google Maps. That became the de facto standard. And this exact same centralization, it's a bottlenecking. It's the exact same thing. It's the Leviathan is so easy to spot. It's freaking ridiculous. It's every time. How do I turn all these separate individuals, free men, into a hive? How do I centralize? That's all the Leviathan does. It doesn't even try and be evil. All it wants to do is centralize. That's it. It just wants to centralize everything. It doesn't care if you're good or you're bad. It doesn't need you to be blackmailed. As long as you're centralized, it's happy. That's all it wants. And that's the blackmail is only a part of because it needs centralization, because that's another way to centralize it. What I'm trying to say is the goal of this system is not even to be evil. The goal is to centralize it. It's literally building a Tower of Babel in front of our very eyes. It's constructing a central penis, a central obelisk that every other obelisk is forced to fall into. And so the Googling is the building of the Tower of Information, right? Your quest for information now comes through a centralized tower. So the Tower of Babel has already been built in the internet, in cyberspace. That same tower was built in social media. It was built in the only 3 platforms that really exist. You know, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. That's a centralization. And why did that happen? Because all of a sudden Dan and Yogurt said, hey, find us on Facebook. And they said at the exact same time, Board and Cheese said, yeah, come find us on Facebook. And where like Charmin toilet paper, like the people that wipe their ass are like, hey, come find us on Facebook. And all of us as consumers were walking around going, yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense that in a 2-month period, Wonder Bread and the sausage companies were all telling us, come on Facebook. It's the centralization of virtue, because that's what social media is. It's the virtue machine. And again, just to delineate, it's not that the social media is evil. It's that there is a hallway now. Little Red Riding Hood is walking underneath a thickets of rhododendron, thick rhododendron. And she has a very tiny walkway underneath. And there are voices in the bushes, and they are allowed to whisper at her the entire way. And those whispers, she thinks they're people, and they're freaking speakers. And their speakers are coming from 5 dudes. And those 5 dudes can sound like 7 million. And Walt and me, guess what? We're now 1 or 2 of those 7 million voices. Like they've turned humans into microscopic whispers. And there's no way, I mean, obviously there is a way, but because of this framework that we're set in, it becomes very difficult for people to delineate and see. There's an account on Twitter right now I could go to, and I could show you, that is Q Owl, and he's got the owl icon, and he's got 300 followers, and he will post trust the plan, and you will watch, and within 7 minutes he will have 346 retweets and 2 comments. Well, like it's like so obvious what it is. All of us are walking through these thickets, and we hear these voices, and because I can't see your face when you're tweeting, you have no idea. And going back to that ridicule thing about how easy it is, just all you got to do is just show this ridicule there. So imagine trying to walk to Grandma's house as Little Red Riding Hood to Flat Earth Grandma's house. Imagine trying to walk through that forest, because right now, everything that you freaking see is these pizza earth ridicule crap. That's all you see is just shame. Because that's what ridicule is shame. Ad hominem and shame are the definition of mind control. It's not even the symptom of it, it's what they physically are. Google is mind controlling us. And all of us are calling it information. So yeah, that part's bad.
There's nowhere else to find it anymore. The libraries are a joke.
Well, that's why I was saying,
new batch of books that I paid 10 cents a piece for some really great information that they were just casting aside because they have to line the shelves with whatever drivel, literally novels of the serial romance variety. It's crap. That's
how you bury information. That's how you bury information without getting caught. You physically just saturate it with robotic crap. I can write a robot that can run on its own, and I can listen to Frank argue with John, and all I have to do is take every comment that Frank says and repeat it to Jane over in this other area. And whatever Jane says to me, I just have to look up the response that closely matches her from Vic over here, and then paste that back into Jane. And as a robot, I can now have 17 conversations going at once. I could surround a human if I wanted to with that. And I would, the whole time, that human on trying to get to Grandma's house would be, holy fuck, these guys are really seem smart. I better not go here. Like this is not worth it. It's going to be way too expensive. And all we're doing is creating a one world order. That's all we're doing. We're creating a centralized cosmology that's saying this is exactly how it has to fucking be. That's the Tower of Babel. We're building the Tower of Babel with Zionism, and we're calling it God's plan. Isn't that fucked up? We are calling the Tower of Babel God's plan. It would be awesome if we had 7 internets. It would be so rad, man. It's going to come to that. Because if you ask me, well, James, what would you do? I would have this campground. And on this campground, I would do these weekends of cosmology where we talk about what do you think the world looks like? We show them what it feels like to know. Have you noticed how your cosmology is threatened by someone else's cosmology? Isn't that a symptom that your cosmology is weak? Wouldn't you like a cosmology that you could take out into a field of 7 million other cosmologies and still feel right on about it? Couldn't you wear your cosmology like you would wear your imagination when you run out into the field and you transform yourself into an X-wing fighter pilot? Couldn't that be the way that you hold your cosmology as you go throughout the day? Why can't you try on a new cosmology every day? Why do we have to have a world where as soon as you walk outside, someone says, ha ha, you live on a pizza pie in space? Why? What does that benefit with the exception of the Tower of Babel? That's all it benefits. Like it makes shit boring. I think it'd be cool to meet the dude that thinks we live on a giant unicorn. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. He's going to be able to explain. I'm going to want to hear his take on rainbows. I'm going to want to freaking hear that. You know what I mean? Like he's going to have a really crazy idea for what a rainbow is. And I'm going to want to hear that. And I bet you, because he's got a totally different approach to it, he's going to tell me something about photonics and about there's a gelatinous plasma that happens between photonics, between the ratios of 116 megahertz and 458. And you actually create a perfect spiral of silicone spun in a molten. I don't know what the fuck he's going to say. But the point is that he's going to tell me something that I did not know. And it doesn't require that I adopt his cosmology first to listen to him explain to me how a prism works. You know, prism, not prison. Like we should be encouraging everyone to have this crazy ass, I think we were created by a cat named Stan. Like there's nothing wrong with that. It's Stan the cat could have made this whole place. It wouldn't be the weirdest thing that's ever happened.
I like Stan the cat. I like that idea.
I mean, it's why waste all that money and focus? If you were the New World Order and you wanted to keep people confused, why not just let all these amazingly influential flat Earth channels just run? Like, isn't that exactly what you would want to happen? You know, then people are telling me, well, no, it's all a conspiracy to confuse you. But if you walk out of it not believing a damn thing anyone says, there's no more confusion. Like there's nothing else to be confused about, because you're just like, no, everybody lies. That's all. What do you mean, everybody? Yeah, everybody lies. It's just psychopathy. If you go to work in an office and there's more than 8 employees, it is socially okay to steal. It's socially, you can take as many paper clips as you want home. You could take as many Post-it notes. You could print 1,000 flyers of your junk, like as a joke and some twisted, not even as a joke. And all that's free. There's no bad karma for it. You don't feel like you've stolen. You don't feel that way. If you're in a crowd, and it's there's a concert, it is okay to pee on someone's bumper behind their car, even though it's 4 PM. It's okay. And the reason why those things are okay is because the zeitgeist, it creates this different beast. It creates this other animal. So it's not even about, oh, because we're all intrinsically evil. No, it's because we're people. And if you put a lot of people together, corrosion instantly comes up. No different than if you stick 18 dogs in a pen and one of them's in a shitty mood, there's going to be some change. There's going to be some turmoil happening. I don't even like saying it, but there's an expression that, well, everyone would go down to the least common, the worst behavior would become the norm, basically. But I don't even like associating that with dogs, because actually dogs correct themselves a little bit better because they're not gelded. They're not like living in this lie, this really fucked up trance. But the point is that if you get over 8 people, stealing becomes okay. Over 1,000 people, what else becomes okay? And I can't give you a statistic like the 8 people thing. That's a real life statistic. That's like, it's okay. In companies this big, it's just naturally okay. No one feels guilty, basically. No one has any kind of remorse to it. You become psychopathic to stealing office supplies, just as you would become psychopathic to using your influence as a governor or a senator to help a new chemical company or to get a kickback from this or from that. It's not even about, oh, that person's evil and that person's evil. This is strictly about the system. If you create a system that has more than 8 employees, you are condoning theft. That's really what I'm trying to say. And if people understand what people are, they would set up a system that goes into that says, you know what, I'd rather have this company structured completely differently. Oh, what do you mean by that? We want micro companies. Well, that's weird. Yeah, I know. We're going to try it this way. We can do this with our government. We can do this. It's the reason why people don't steal when it's under 8 people. It's because everyone has to look at everyone else in the eye for X amount of hours a day. You just can't avoid it. You get lost in the anonymity of size. And I'm bringing this up because it ties back into the Library of Alexandria. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like it's exactly the same. You're able to saturate a moment with a bunch of other shitty moments, and you can just make it disappear. Like a marriage, you might have like a few really good weeks, but if you add in 6 years of just hell, it changes that flavor, just as Google changes what it is to try and look up flat earth. All these systems have this built-in corrosion that is automatically activated through size. All we have to do is cause an inflammation. It's funny, but that's really all it takes. Here's a company that has 8 employees. I want to insert theft. We're going to expand. You are now introducing psychopathy to the system. And that's why it's so important that the United States became a union instead of a confederacy. Because the confederacy, man, imagine being the cabal and having to freaking come down to Louisiana and go, hey, all you guys, we want to put you under our control too. And it's like, imagine trying to deal with like Louisiana's, like if they were a sovereign, like each state would become just a lifetime of work and just massive amounts of calories would have to go in to taking over that. But if everything's centralized, if everything's all locked into one, if all the books, if all the scrolls that were ever written in Aramaic to Greek to Coptic, if every single scroll that was ever written was to be placed in one freaking tower, it would be so easy to burn it all. Not only could you burn it all, you could have a holocaust of that information, but people would be giving you billions of dollars and saying, oh, that sucks, man. I'm really sorry that happened to you. Here's $6 billion. I'm really sorry you lost all those scrolls, man. We just feel bad, so we chipped in, man. We're just really sorry that, oh, that's awful. Who would have thought that would happen, right? You know. And it's going to be like, how did it happen? And I bet you if you were to go back to Alexandria and be like, how did it happen? And be like, man, this dude walked in with 16 box cutters and the fucking place just went up in flames. It just happened. It's tragic. And you know what?
I've watched this whole thing unfold over these last 50 years, James, and I don't understand how we've gotten where we are. You know, I've watched it. I've been part of it. I've been part of trying to uncover why things have been, why they are, all the secrets, all the crap. And I'm right back to what in the world is going on around me, because it seems more mad, more psychopathic every day.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the key to the size. Imagine George Bush trying to pull that off in small town, Louisiana, Texas, wherever. Like I know on my mountain, you wouldn't pull that off there. You wouldn't. I've seen guys try and pull stuff off here, and one of us goes and confronts him. I'm like, no, you're not doing that. That's a stupid idea. It's not going to happen. But if it's a guy in the state, shit, I'm not even there. I don't even know what he's doing. I can't afford to leave my house and go there and figure out what's going on in Raleigh. There's no way. How would I even ever be able to get to Raleigh? You know, I'm trying to make a living. I'm trying to make it happen here. So it's always that what you're seeing is a centralization, and centralization only happens through psychopathy. And psychopathy is well, that's Wetiko. That's the disease. Cannibalism, a spell of cannibalism, I guess, got inserted. Anyway, people watching us.
There's people in chat. Hello to people in chat. I've been talking to them off and on. My system is cutting up so bad. Every time I turn the Chrome back on to get in chat, it drags me down here. I keep waiting for me to knock myself off doing it. So I popped the chat out. Hopefully that'll help.
Or you can put it in a different thing?
Well, if you go to the little three dots over there, you can see pop out chat.
Okay.
And I've done that. It seems to be a little less resource heavy. Because again, I don't know, I guess I'm losing all my Windows 7 support. So video is almost not an option anymore.
Yeah, Dudu Osun's right, man. No sovereignty in where we go one, where we go all, because that's the centralization, isn't it? Where we go one, we go all. What does that mean? But centralized. It's you know, and I don't like saying this out loud because it sounds kind of deterministic, not even nihilistic, because I see it as a cycle. But what I'm getting at is that I think the Tower of Babel is supposed to happen over and over again, because Kronos, the first story of Kronos, is he cuts off the umbilical cord between Uranus and Gaia. He physically cuts the umbilical cord and he falls. He falls down to Earth. He crashes to Earth. And that fall is the birth of man. It's the birth of us, and we are now crawling. We are in a crawling state, and we emerge. And as we grow, we begin to build our tower. We will naturally build a tower every time. Globalism is an archetype that will always come back. No matter how many times you reset civilization, it is built into our DNA that we will develop psychopathy, blackmail, and centralization. These aren't mutations. These are necessary. Because if we weren't all being pushed into this central tower, you wouldn't have this blender of trauma that's able to run. You wouldn't have people like me and you and the people in chat going, I want to be free. Fuck you. No, I don't want this to happen. You wouldn't have that. You wouldn't have strife. You wouldn't have trauma. You wouldn't have a reason to consider things precious. It would be different. It's a different kind of a thing. It's like this is a trauma engine that's built on purpose. Lies aren't an accident. Lies are really important, because if none of us lied to each other, then we would never really learn how to have our own constitution, our own core, our own discernment is a it's almost like a stamen or something inside of a flower. It's like a thing that only develops after you have a bud, after you have a shell, after you have the pollen, after you have all this other stuff. This other thing pops up. It's discernment. And it would only happen if we had just the right amount of lies in the world to make us all go, I can't trust, fuck y'all, man. I can't trust any of you. I'm gonna have to trust myself. And you're forced to do it. You're forced to. It's no different than being pushed out of the nest. You know, it's like without that, we would never imagine being born and already knowing how to walk. You would miss a whole lot of stuff, like, you know, life crawling, life on your back, being able just to shit yourself and people still smile at you. It's a different existence then. And if you were to come out walking, all that would be for naught. It would change the fractal of life a lot. So the world isn't broken. You know what I mean? Like none of this is broken. This is all exactly how it's supposed to be functioning. And it's ironic because that's what DC is. DC isn't broken. This is how this is what we asked for. This is what we made. We're all like, by God, we want America first. This is what America first looks like. See if anybody agrees with me.
Yeah, I was playing catch up in chat too. The standardization issue is definitely part of it. The whole homogenization, making everybody the same, androgyny, or whatever the hell they're doing to people these days.
Baphomet, right? So Baphomet, that's, man. Did I tell you I think Noah could be a Baphomet? No?
I haven't heard this. If you told everyone else, I missed it.
Well, it sounds like a kind of a mean thing to say, but I don't mean it that way. But, you know, why did Noah live 900 years?
Why did he have horns?
You know, why did he have horns? Why did Cain get in so much trouble for seeing him naked? They say that, well, to see him naked means he had sex with him. So it's like, okay, so Cain went and had sex with his dad? That's what we're saying? And then I'm like, wait a minute, what if Noah was a Baphomet and Cain wasn't? Like, what if the very first, think of it like a starter plant, like a seed, you know? Like, we're going to do a reset. Here comes the reset. Noah, you've been picked. So Noah's like a giant. He's like a really big ass giant, but he's not just a giant. He's this ogre looking Baphomet guy. And that's what they all used to look like back then. That was one of the reasons why the reset, you know, is they're like, God, you guys are ugly as fuck, you know? And so they like took Noah And he's like, you're going to be the ark, man. You were going to be the ark. So he didn't have to tell Noah this, but he's like, you know, you're not going to get a wife. Basically, you're impotent now until you build a boat, because that was in there too, where he's like, he was turned off sexually until he was ready. Okay, now you're ready. Build your boat, get in the boat. When you get out the boat, you're going to be the ark, which means you're going to have male sex organs and female sex organs. And you're going to be able to mate with your kids. And no matter who mates with who, it's all good, because all you guys are going to be spinning different DNA. Why? Because Noah's a weird Baphomet dude. He's not a normal human. He's this weird genetic ark dude. You know, he's a different kind of frog. He's a different kind of bee. You know, there's a queen bee, and then you got your drone and your worker bees. It's Noah's the queen bee. And so he's got a vagina and a dick. He's completely self-sufficient. He does not get a damn thing done, because all he's doing is playing with himself. And he's able to do all this stuff, and then he's reseeding the earth, right? And he can't, that's why there's no incest, because it's coming from this divine cabbage, this heirloom tomato, but it's a human instead. You know, it's like it's your first seed kind of thing. And so he's able just to output over and over and over again. That's why his kids didn't live 900 years old. You know, his kids were like 200 years, I guess. And then those kids, they got less and less. It's like it's spun down, you know. It's like each cutting of a plant. I only know this from marijuana, and I've been told this. I've never grown marijuana. I've known some people that've done that, and they tell me there's something about you can only split. I think that's how it works. You can only split something so many times or something, and then it kind of loses its effectiveness or whatever. Anyway, the same kind of thing, but for humans. So all of this evil that we're calling evil is really just the amnesia. We're fighting the amnesia. We're trying to resolve, why do I have these concepts in my mind? I don't want these concepts. I'm afraid of these. I need to understand the truth. I hate the Baphomet, but wait a minute, what if this is the case? And here's what's weird. Here's the weird part. If you consider what's happening with humanism, right? People are getting LEDs implanted in their fingers. They're getting magnets. They're getting all kinds of stuff. If you look at what's going to happen to us, we're already mutating gender-wise, right? Through gender dysphoria. We're already generating symptoms of, I want to be whatever gender the hive wants me to be. I will grow whatever genitalia you would like me to grow, as long as I can be accepted. So take that, because that's already happening, and multiply it by 200 years. And you're going to look at, instead of going in for an oil change, you're walking in and physically modifying your body. And what kind of body would you want? You're going to probably want both sex organs, right? I mean, why not keep the set together? Why not have both? You don't know who you're going to meet along the way. And if everyone else is blurring their gender, you sort of kind of have to try and be compatible. You want to survive. If you want to survive in the world, you're going to have to be able to reproduce. And if you want to reproduce, you're probably going to want to go ahead and go Baphomet on it. And just like in fashion, anyone who's taller, anyone who's wearing high heel shoes or shoulder pads is going to seem more in power. Well, if I look out in nature and I see a deer and then I see a buck, what's the difference? Well, one of them's got horns, and there's a respect that automatically comes to horns. So why would there not be dudes like, yeah, I'm going to be CEO. I want to get some damn horns. I show these people that I'm the stag. I'm the chief rhino around here, you know? And so if you imagine what life would be like in 200 years where we're doing all this crazy ass shit, we're turning into the Baphomet anyway. And it's, people are under the impression that, oh, well, maybe one day we would develop a universal language of Babel. And the answer is no, it's already here. Ones and zeros are the language of Babel. We've already created the Tower of Babel. We've already have a universal language to break apart. So if you want to know what the deluge really is, it's a hard drive swipe. it's just a complete, it's time to wipe the data. It's time to wipe the hard drive and start over. We're going to reformat this fucking drive. We're going to defrag this place and we're going to reformat. And we need a BIOS. And hey, I really like this Linux BIOS, version 13.6. It's has some cool features. So we're going to take this, put it on a thumb drive. That's called an ARC. And what happens on a thumb drive when you reinstall it? You pull out the kernel. The kernel. Noah is that kernel. And you launch that kernel and it installs. It takes forever too. That kernel's going out and it's just humping all over the hard drive, storing more stuff. Here's this, and here's my libraries, and here's all my fonts, and here's all my image processing, and here's my front side bus, here's my backside bus, here's my cron tab, here's my all that stuff. That's a different kernel. In other words, that's your first kernel. And then let's say inside that kernel, you're running virtual shell, which means you would have 7 different computers running inside of one computer. Well, that would be Cain. And Cain is running inside that virtual shell with Abel and all the other guys that are running in there. And it's safer because no one's going to take over Noah. So you now have a repeating pattern. You have a system now in place where you're recreating a Tower of Babel, which means, holy cow, I just figured out who Lucifer is. Holy shit. So just as all of us are centralizing, right? Just as all of us are coming into the one world government, it would make sense that one of us is going to be able to modify themselves humanistically to be more powerful than all the other humans in the world. They're going to be able to modify. It's going to be something about fashion, I would imagine. I know that sounds crazy, but fashion is so underrated, how powerful fashion is. It would be someone that was able to modify himself in such a way where the adoration would be uncontrollable. And because it's from a centralized pillar, right? This would only happen under a centralized pillar. He's able to emerge at the top as the Lucifer, as the morning star. And this would basically be the ultimate American Idol, but for the world, the ultimate pop idol. Sure they were calling it the Mashiach or the Messiah or whatever, but I'm actually talking about something beyond this. Beyond one world order, I think after that, then would come this Lucifer figure, the literal Nimrod. Holy shit. That would be Nimrod, wouldn't it? It would be Nimrod. He would emerge and go, yep, this bitch is mine. I'm Caesar, 3.0, basically. I'm the Caesar that emerged when everything was centralized. I'm the same vision that Caesar had in Rome when he pictured, man, we could run the whole world if we just set up this government, gave everybody democracy. Holy shit, that's a great idea. Yeah, exactly. It's the same guy. It's just he happened to emerge when everything was already centralized. So now you have a Nimrod, then you just have to have a fall. How does he fall? How does Nimrod cut his own neck off? You see what I'm saying? Like he probably would have to kill himself. He would probably have to be the one that chopped his own umbilical cord off. And that's fascinating because it makes you think, well, why did he commit suicide?
Why exactly? Why would he do that to himself?
Isn't that fascinating though? Because you now have a complete loop. You have a complete. I just explained the entire Mobius strip. I didn't mean I created. What it means, I just explained the entire Mobius strip of how this system would be a fractal, about how basically this place is not created. It's fractally unfolded.
So then he would be the ultimate blending of the Christ figure and Lucifer.
Yeah, I think this would be in a point where there's no longer this where everyone has moments of Christ consciousness. Above that would become this Lucifer figure that would emerge. It's again, Lucifer is supposedly traditionally a figure of light, the morning star, the Venus. It would be the ultimate prism, if you could think about it. It would be the grand fractalization of light. It would be something that wouldn't be evil or good. It would simply be brilliant, if that makes sense. It would be more brilliant than anything else. So it would surpass morals. It would surpass all the other stuff. It would be something much more profound than that, I think. A singularity is what it would be, Walt. It would be an all know. It would be omniscience. It would be omniscience. You know, it would probably be a simulation. It would be a simulation mod. As your AI gets smarter, it's able to simulate more and more accurately, which means that you're able to see more and more in the future. People sometimes call me, they're like, you're sort of like a seer. And what they mean is that I'm pretty good at simulating. So I'm able to simulate a little bit further ahead than other people are. I hope I'm explaining that right.
Oh, absolutely, sir. You don't just think outside the box. You take the box, crumple it up, throw it across the room.
Well, it's all about simulation, though. It's simply about, can I create enough desktop space to go, what would Walt say if I said this? 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 So the Lucifer figure would be the one who's better at that than anyone else, because the moment he could out simulate everyone else, you literally would be omniscient. He would be omniscient. He would automatically know what everyone's reaction would be, what his best reaction to that would be. And in that case, he would become, this is amazing, because I now know why he would probably cut his own head off. Because imagine being stuck in a corporeal, temporal, spatial body and knowing everything. Like like it would become a prison. There's no, I mean, sure, you definitely would like have sex with a lot of virgins for like a long time, I mean, I'm not trying to say you wouldn't have those periods where you're going through that and really enjoying yourself, but after a few hundred years, you're gonna get really bored. Like no one's gonna be surprising you.
You're going to get so bored that you're going to decide to explode yourself off into these infinite bits of yourself in all directions, with the sole purpose of all those bits finding themselves a way back to the original source, and along the way helping all those other little bits figure out their path back to that original source.
That's right. You would cut your own tower. You would be the Kronos. We hate Kronos right now because that's how culture does it. But that Kronos figure, man, this is awesome. I need to make sure I remember this, because this is mostly a lot about in my next novel. But anyway, I'll remember it. That's cool stuff.
Yeah, I was playing catch up again in chat. And again, hello to everybody in chat.
Yeah, hey chat guys. How's it going?
And my good old friend Carolyn Gutman Day, who I luckily met in Oregon at a meetup a few years back.
Yeah, it definitely amplifies it. It definitely, you're looking at, but that goes back to something I get in trouble with, is that I like to call God silence, and people don't like that. I'm not saying everyone doesn't like it, but people don't like it when I say that. They want God to be a noise, and I think noises can be corrupted. Silence, man. Just love how beautiful that is. No one can lie about silence. Like if all you did was speak silence, you would never tell a lie. You could never be corrupted. You could never be misunderstood. No one could ever twist your words around. No one could say, well, God didn't really say that. When God said this, what he meant was this. You can't even do that, because all God is saying the entire time is he's silence. He's saying silence. And what's interesting is, for us to talk to God, we would speak God's language, which means if you wanted to behold and get in touch with God, you would simply use the language that he gave you at birth. You didn't have to learn Latin. You didn't have to learn Coptic. You didn't have to learn Greek. You just had to learn silence. And you didn't have to learn that. Like, it's actually really easy. It's really clear. It's such a beautifully clear language. And I know that people feel like it's blasphemy for me to say that because of the way that we've relicized the Bible. But there's Lord technology doesn't have to be God, guys. You could still believe in Lord technology in the Old Testament and still understand that that is maybe not God. That maybe something that has jealousy, maybe something that has vengefulness, maybe something that is competing with Asherah or competing with all these other Molech and Zebub and all these other Baals. You had a Lord technology that was competing with at least maybe as high as 35 other gods in the Old Testament. And what were they doing? They were centralizing under one Baal. There can be only one. It's the quickening. The Old Testament is the quickening. It's a bunch of these etheric demons going, no, I want to control these humans. No, I want to control these humans. No, I want to control these humans. It's why do any of those have to be God? Like, why can't you still believe that that happened, but also understand that that isn't God? Why would you set up this amazing place where we could have this experience with our own free will, with our own ability to make mistakes? I mean, we're definitely allowed to make mistakes, right? I mean, look at how many mistakes we made. This is definitely a mistake-rich environment. This environment was not made to be like a china shop, you know, where nothing's supposed to get broken. It's literally the exact opposite. We are made to be broken and break each other. That's what we're doing. So why would you create an environment where you're supposed to break shit and then forget a manual and then think of it like 8,000 years later and then go, how I need to insert this, how do I install this? And then spook like 12 guys and have them write it down. Like why not just install software in each of us that says, whenever we look at the moon, we hear a recording. And that recording says, beep, this is God, your training manual. Please press your nose to return to the table of contents. If you would like instructions, we're now going to go over the 10 Commandments. Look away from the moon if you would like for this recording to stop. And then it's like, now you know. Like, are we saying that God doesn't have that technology? Are we implying that God could build this entire universe, but he can't create a table of contents in like a Kindle format that you could download directly by touching your nose? I mean, we can do that. Like if we could do that, why would God not be able to do that? It doesn't make any sense at all. What makes more sense is that if you look up, you're listening to God. Because when I look up to the sky, I hear the sound of silence. It is a giant, it's the sound of like it's the sound of a giant mouth open. It's a cosmic breath. You would know if you were inside a giant whale that was alive. You would know. You would sense it. You would feel the listening. You wouldn't feel a vacuum. You would feel a listening. You would feel a glistening. This giant. Anyway, it's silence, man. I don't mean to be blasphemous, but I'm telling you guys, the language of God is silence. And when we behold each other, and I know all I do is fucking talk. I realize that. I realize the irony that all I do is freaking talk. But if we were behold each other, we are speaking God's language to each other. If we make eye contact with each other and just don't say anything for a moment, I didn't want to spoil it, but there's like a Parthenia that builds up. There's a spiritual essence, and it was different than just radio silence, right? It was different, like doing it on purpose.
And all this is wanting to drive me back out into the woods and back out to the campfire, man. So mad, so bad.
That's why campfire is such a perfect icon. It's such a perfect power symbol for all of us. It's not mine. It's the perfect power symbol for all of us. Campfires and silver are crucial. I don't use those icons lightly, people. I want you to know that I've put a shitload of thought into those. And I'm telling you, man, if you ever want to hire like a village wizard that you kind of trust and you sort of want to maybe hit him up for some advice, let me be that dude right now. And I'm telling you, it's campfires and silver. It's so important. The campfire is crucial because you're not going to have campfire with more than 100 people. It's not going to fucking work. It's just not. You're going to have to have.
It has to be intimate for sure.
Yeah, you're going to have a campfire over here, a campfire over here, a campfire over here, a campfire over here, a campfire over here. And some of you guys are going to always stay at your campfire, and that's perfect. And some of you guys are going to be floaters. You're going to be like, I really like to experience different campfires. And some of you guys are going to become loyal to one campfire for 3 years, and then you're going to say, I've had it with those assholes. I'm going to go over here to this campfire. And you're going to keep, and that's going to be fucking beautiful. It's going to be perfect that it happens that way. And one day you're going to dream and you're going to go, I'm going to start my own campfire one day. And it's going to be the sparkler campfire, where every night at 10:30 p.m. we put a sparkler in the middle. I don't know. The point is that it has to be decentralized, because if it's not decentralized, we all lose our belief forever. We already have lost 45% of our belief. It's siphoned out through taxes. It's siphoned out through this bullshit rumor that the hostage that took us in the van at 9/11 is going to turn around and take us home again and say, I'm really sorry about that. I don't know what came over me. I just had to knock some buildings down. I'm sorry. That's the belief that's been sucked out of us. And just like in your gambling, and you put so much in the pot and you're like, dude, I don't care how much I lose. I have to fucking see this through. That we're going to have to cut this shit off, man. You're just going to have to cut bait. You fucked up, man. You fucked up like I did. You bought into this DC thing. You bought the sigils. You heard the land of the free shit. You bought into all of it, man. I did too. But underneath the United States is something different. And it is America. It is a different flavor. It is a soil, man. And it's not called North Carolina and South Carolina. That's not what it's called. And this is what campfires and silver, and find the name. Find the name of your area. I'm in Katua. You guys have already heard me say this. I'm sorry. I'm probably just like, oh, here he goes again. Find the name of your area and build a campfire in it and get silver. You only need one piece of silver. Because the second you notice that you traded a $20 bill that's got a fucking pyramid on the back of it that was written there by Kabbalists a long time ago, and there's actually a trust, there's a physical trust called In God We that exists out there. And so you're looking at that In God We trust. The reason why silver is so powerful is because you can take that $20 bill and you can magically convert it like an alchemist, like a wizard, and turn it into a piece of silver. And the second you have a piece of silver, you now have a magical item. Just like that dollar bill is a sigil that's sucking your admiration out and putting it into the sigil. The silver is totally different. It's a bank of you. It's a sovereignty bank. And you're looking at that silver, and now you have a physical prop to store prana in. And the reason why I wanted you guys to pick silver is because the prana is going to last longer inside that silver than it is inside a rock. There's nothing wrong with rocks. And if you have a rock, do it. But I'm just saying that silver is a nice, lazy storage for prana. You pour it in and it's going to stay there forever. That's why we think silver is so valuable. Because it was stored tens of thousands of years ago. It still holds that charge. So get silver.
I like that idea, and I want to find those $20 silver pieces. Where they at? Where they at?
Yep. You can find them online, guys. And I'm not here to tell you where to buy it because I make no money from this. It's not that. But I'm just going to throw it out. JW Bullion is just happens to be one. It's literally just one of the biggest. It doesn't have to be that one. But if you go there and you've never done it before, you need to look for the cheapest, smallest silver round you can find. Don't get the fancy design ones because you're spending extra money for a design. You can buy silver right now for like $16, $18. You'll have to have it shipped to you, but you know, it's a round of silver. And I'm telling you guys, this is going to prove to you that the ether's real. Because when you transmute the 20 and put it into silver, you're going to feel that prana. You're going to understand it. I feel like I'm saying things that I've already said a lot, and I'm sorry.
But they need saying, and that's I need to hear them for sure. That's why I called you tonight, man. So for sure, don't feel like you're repeating yourself. It needs to be heard for damn sure.
Nothing wrong with gold either, guys. I only talk about silver because all of us can access silver. The ones of us that can access and get gold will still understand what I'm saying. Of course they will. And those are going to just be different. I like silver though, because the silver screen,
I drink it as well. I just saw that in chat. I've got my bottle of silver right here.
You drink silver?
I do indeed. It is very good for you.
That's awesome. See, I don't know shit about that.
It's very antibiotic. It's very good for like keeping your candida growths down, keeping your flora and fauna balanced well. It's good stuff. Really good stuff.
Well, and that's another reason why it's so across the board. It's such a powerful thing, like just, you know, for different reasons, for medical reasons, for alcohol reasons, for alchemical reasons, for magic reasons. It's just over and over and over again. It just has all these good reasons. And it's a really cool thing to be contagious. You know, it's really easy to go up to someone who's like, man, I'm sick of this too. All these lies. What do I do? It's something that you actually do. It's physically something that happens, and you can't say it doesn't count. I swear, you just divested from the system by $20. You just made the NWO $20 less powerful by doing that with silver. That's a really, really powerful thing. And if you keep doing that, like I've been doing it, you're going to start trading books for silver. You're going to start trading things for, and this is how we win. We decentralize the currency by making it not important. It's the exact same tactic as the Library of Alexandria, guys. It's the exact same tactic, except for we're working in reverse. While they're filling the Library of Alexandria up, here's why it's so beautiful. While they're filling it up with bullshit scrolls, we're walking into the library and we're pulling our scroll out. And we're saying, I don't want to store my scroll here. I've got a better place to keep it. I've got this little cave by the Dead Sea that's nice and pretty. You know what? You're going to keep your own scrolls, man. You're going to store your own Akashic record. You are the Library of Alexandria. You are. And as long as we delegate that power to someone else, we're going to lose everything. The flood is already happening if you think about it, guys. Like if you really think about it, the deluge, the defrag, it's already happening. It happens when you try and go on flat earth. And some of you guys aren't flat earth. I'm not even flat earth. I'm a zeteticist. It's really, that's all I know is I'm a zeteticist. And when I look outside, I can see fucking Virginia. That's all I've been able to prove. That's all, guys. It's you know, cool your jets. I'm not saying there's a giant hen or whatever. I'm just telling you, this is just all I know. That's Virginia. It's like, that's Virginia and I'm in North Carolina. And I've just pulled up Google and was like, yeah, I know that mountain. Oh shit. It shouldn't be able to see that. That's all I know. The point is though, is that if you have your own cosmology, you've got your own silver. You've got your own currency now. You've got your own belief because you've established your own cosmology. Now your belief belongs to you. It's not doled out automatically when you wake up. You get to wake up in the morning and go, huh. So Tulsi Gabbard just said that 9/11 is going to uncover the truth that Saudi Arabia was the one who did it. and you're going to be up there going, Tulsi's about to do 9/11 truth. Oh, it's Saudi Arabia. Oh. And that's what happened yesterday. And I know how many of you guys are out there going, no, James, you're wrong, man. Tulsi's legit. She's legit, dude. Just like Trump's legit. Just like QAnon's legit. Just like Barack Obama's legit. Just like Reagan is legit. Just like Carter's legit. Just like JFK's legit. Just like Lincoln. Just like Lincoln is legit. Do you know what that fucker did? You don't even know. See, most of you guys do. But you know what I mean. Most people don't even know. That guy took 6,000 truthers. No, 3,000. He took 3,000 truthers and put them in jail and said, you guys are going to shut the fuck up. That's what he did. And that was before any of this started. And we're supposed to pretend that there's a magical Mason-Dixon line. Can you believe that bullshit that they tell us? There was a magical Mason, like, they went out there with spray paint. And they're like, fuck you, man. You live north of here, and we live south of here. And all of us wanted some slaves, and all y'all don't. It's the literally these one. I would say it's the stupidest idea you've ever heard, but I've seen this model of the Earth where it's like flying through space.
That
like
one is pretty silly.
Rotating anus, and it's like so. It's like I have to compare everything to that idea. Like I still look at that, and I'm like, wow, I used to believe that, man. I used to like. Just that was it, man. That was the way it worked. It's that video I showed you guys at the beginning that we showed you with the plasma moon. That's a campfire. That's a piece of silver, man. It's a totally separate idea. And imagine how cool it would be if you were at a festival called Life and you were to show up at the festival and you've got your silver and you've got your campfire and you're out running around. You see another campfire and you're like, what the hell is that? And you go over there and you sit down. The guy's like, the moon is made out of plasma. And you're like, dude, can I sit down? He's like, yes. And so now you're at the campfire for a while. And you're like, tell me about this plasma moon. And who knows what he's going to say? You've been to festivals. Seriously, who knows? A cat could come out of the tent. You wouldn't know that. I saw a dude come out of a tent once with a dog collar, wearing tidy whities at a festival, and he was a dog. Now he was playing I am a dog, this is what I am, I'm role playing.
I've been to about 4 Lollapaloozas. I've seen quite a few things, my friend.
Yeah, this is, and that's what makes the festival so freaking awesome. That's what makes it so. It's what makes your tent that much more cozy, because when you go back to your tent, you know you've got a banana tucked over here. You've got your flashlight hanging on the hook. You've got your cosmology all set up for you, man. And it's ready to go. It makes your campfire better because you're like, the fucking sparkler. That was so annoying. That was the worst idea ever. Back at my campfire, we don't have that. Back at my campfire, we purposely, no, you can't burn that kind of wood. Why not? Well, because that's got the crackly guys on the bark. The huckleberries, you can't burn that. It's going to make pops. We want a smooth fire, man. We want a smooth fire. It's you set that up yourself. You that's all you. But it's not if you're going to, like, if everyone has to go to Walmart and get the same tent and show up, and instead of everybody's got a fire, everyone's plugged in to a light. That's what centralization does. That's what the Tower of Babel is. It's turning a festival of campfires into a fucking parking lot with those big ass street lights. And everyone's got a street light and everyone's got a parking space and they're all lined with yellow fucking paint and a curve. That's what centralization is, guys. It's the opposite of campfire. It's completely the opposite. And that's why I don't pick these symbols lightly. I look through the magic of my secret powers and I'm like, what can I cling to right now to use? What bone can I pick up to shove in the jaws of this giant Norkel whacker dude from Star Wars, that comes out and it's like Luke has that bone, he's sticking it in his mouth. What can I use as a bone? Because that's how bad it is. And I'm telling you, the only bones, the good bones that I see are two things: silver and it's campfires. And I'm telling you, man, it's worked on vampires, it's worked on werewolves. It can't be a bad idea. This cannot be the worst idea that we've ever tried. Because I'll tell you what's a really bad idea. It's pretending like one of these guards is going to come back and fucking save you. That is the worst idea I have ever heard. And I've been in this prison for a long time, this crazy place that we call this world where they're sucking our energy away. And I'm telling you, that's not going to happen. We will have much better luck with silver. We will have much better luck with campfires. And if it doesn't work, okay, I'm making you guys a promise. If we all try this and it doesn't work, all of you motherfuckers can blame me. You can tear me apart. You can eviscerate, do whatever you need to do. But we have to at least try it. You can't do it before trying it. You have to try it first. And I'm telling you, that's how much I believe in this idea. Because and I'll take the only other thing I will say worse than hoping that one of the guards is going to secretly come. It's like when I was on grand jury, right? I spent a year on grand jury. And what you have to do on grand jury is every month you go and you listen to all the cases. You're listening to like 30 or 40 cases over and over again. And you're not listening to a whole case. You're more like listening, is there enough evidence to send this to trial? And part of that is you have to go inspect the jail. And when we go to inspect the jail, you are now a civilian walking through a prison. And you're supposed to say whether or not conditions are good. And they hated me because I just said, these are awful conditions, is what I said. I said, there's no sky. This is fucking awful. No, this is cruel and unusual punishment. And I wrote it out on the forum and I explained that there's no way you can reform in here. This is a shitbag place to be. But anyway, my point is that it would be as silly as one of those prisoners, because we went through the women's prison and the women were looking at all of us men like in this kind of sultry, like, I mean, they're like in prison. They smell like really bad, like with the sock smell. And they're still like, hey, Jerry Foreman, how's it going? And in their mind, like imagine if I was to like, hey man, here's a piece of gum. I'll be back tomorrow. All this will be over tomorrow. I just need you to lay low. Do you understand if I was to do that to one of the, like, I would be a god to them. They would create this entire network of anonymous truth fighters that were convinced that James, the grand jury foreman, was coming back to save us. And I could get so much toilet wine from them. I could get all their cigarettes. I could get all their drugs. I could literally extort them for whatever I wanted. And all it would cost me is a piece of gum and a story. Like that's all it would take. And I'll tell you, the only thing worse than carrying that fantasy that guard or that jury foreman is going to turn around and come back is to pretend that if we vote for the right warden, we're somehow, this is going to be fine. Because we're voting between a red and a blue warden. And what Trump is, peach cobbler. Barack Obama is strawberry. That's what we're changing. We're changing the dessert gruel we get in our tray. That's what we get to pick between right now.
And anybody that believes they actually are doing anything other than following orders, I don't understand that part at this point anyway.
It's a, so this draining that you hear be coming out of my lungs right now is what happens when you take your belief and you start to push it back into that realm. You're looking for things that aren't there. You're looking for something that's not going to be there. But each of those $20 that you have in your life is a block in that wall. And you can trade that in. And physically, every time you see it, we aren't gifted enough with magic where I can't pick a spot in space, like up here in the corner, right next to this light, right next to light, right over here. I'm going to store all of my belief in localism government. I'm going to store it in that little area of space right there. So now I can only think about that if I'm home, and I have to look in that area, and I have to remember that in front of that area in the dead space is this idea of sovereignty. But if I have a coin, see, I'm teaching you guys how to do magic, and I don't mean to sound like I know all about it, but I'm telling you, man, this is a real spell. This works. And the ingredients of this spell are take one $20 bill and go online and purchase a silver round. And that's the spell. And in 3 to 5 days, you're going to open this up. And now you have this, you don't have to put all the stuff up here in the corner of my room. You look at the silver and it's already got the training wheels on it to hold your prana. And do whatever you want. I've been doing weird shit. I'll show you what I've been doing. I really want a campground to run an anti-school. I really want this place where there's much to unlearn. I want people to come to this campground. I've had this dream my whole life. And to deprogram. It's a vocational school to unlearn shit. And I really think this would work the best at a campground. We'd be building these dragons and cool art projects, which would give us a physical thing to do. But then at night we'd have group fire and we'd talk about shit. The things that I'm saying now maybe would be things that I would say around a campfire. That's what I want to happen alchemically in my life. I want to create that in the world because I've seen what else has been done, and I think it would help. I think if I had more of a reach, it would become that much easier to do. And people already see what I want to do, and they're helping out. And it's amazing. I'm selling books, I'm getting patrons, and people are watching right now. This is what I want to happen. And I'm putting it into this silver. And now because I'm doing that in front of all of you as witnesses, when I look at this silver, and it's actually the only one that looks like this. Someone sent this to me for a book. I don't want to tell you who it is. I'll get distracted if I tell you that. But now when I see this piece of silver, I'm going to remember this live stream and what I said. Instead of me keeping this dream inside, I'm saying it out loud in front of you, and I'm saying it with the silver. Now I have something to hold. And I do weird stuff with this. The reason why I do weird stuff with this is because I want to remember. I want to create a space in my mind. And so yeah. Cheers, Walt.
I'll drink to that, my friend.
It's I didn't read this in a book. I didn't divine this. Do you understand, guys, that what I mean by technology of belief now? I mean, is it starting to make sense? It's This is a technology I'm
I
talking
love this
about.
whole idea. I've loved this since you came to our show and talked about it. It made me pull out all of my awesome crystals and all of my awesome coins and all my prana things that had kind of gotten stuck behind in the way and in the other rooms on walls and shelves, and bring them back into my personal area and charge them up again. I love this. This is one of my favorite ideas you brought to me, man.
It really does help. Part of the magic is that you have a vessel. You know, you've got a holder for your prana, and without that holder, this wouldn't work. It would work, guys, but it would take so much more magical focus. It would just take so much more, and we're not practicing magicians. Most of us aren't. Some of us are, but what I mean is, and I don't mean like put the hat on and I don't draw like a circle. I don't masturbate in a certain direction at night. You know, actually, sometimes I definitely masturbate in a certain direction at night. But what I mean is that I am not the magic that I just showed you is like an example of that. It's I think about the resonance of the symbolism. Does that make sense? I try and okay, so like a whale, the sound of a whale has a wave. And what's interesting about it is if you zoom in on that wave, you find the exact same wave. And if you zoom in on that signal, you find the exact same wave. But then if you zoom in on that signal, you find the exact same wave. Whales have a resonance to their sound. It's as above, so below. And so when I do things with the silver like that, I'm trying to sympathetically hit two notes that create every other note through harmonics. And the only way I can do that is if I hit those two notes and they have the right octave between them. That for example, I could hit a low C and a high C on the piano, and you would hear, I could hit a middle C and a low C on the piano, and you would hear a high C sympathetically. It doesn't just have to work in octaves, by the way, but I don't want to get lost in the minutiae of music. But my point is that it's a resonance. And the reason why I pick silver is because when I look at what Hollywood does, all of their magic, which is the most powerful magic I've ever seen, except for, I got to admit, the fact that a guy can stick their junk inside of a woman's junk and create another life, that's like really the most powerful magic I've ever seen. But I'm talking about like practical, real life, you know, run of the mill day magic. It's Hollywood's definitely got their shit together when it comes to this stuff. And everything they do involves silver nitrate, silver oxide, silver solution, silver screens.
Silver screen, yes, sir.
It's all silver, all of photography.
Tinsel town.
Yeah, tinsel, exactly. Perfect, Walt. It's every part of that is dealing with that element of silver. And the symbolism of it, the fact that it's worth money, the fact that every single computer in the world has silver in it. It has to work that way. And that's what I mean by the technology of belief. It's not that it has to be silver. It could be gold. It could be a rock. It could be a crystal. Could so be a crystal. Most of our computers run off crystals. But the technology is what really is doing it. I'm using it as a vessel. It's my own belief, my own prana it's going to be better for my prana to fit into here than into this piece of paper towel that I wiped my nose with before a live stream earlier today. It's like these are going to hold different weights. And in a week, I'm going to be fine looking at this, but this not so much. It's not going to be, don't worry. It was actually the other part of that I wiped my nose on, but it's a different, this is a great vessel. It's going to last a long time. You'll be able to look at this vessel in 30 years and go, wow, I remember. When I get my campground, holy shit. When I get my campground, you guys are going to be able to drive up and this is going to be somewhere. It'll be somewhere.
That's awesome.
There. And it'll be exposed where you can touch your thumb to it. And the same magic. Why? Because I want my whale signal to look like this here, but then in the campground, it's still there. All you're doing is zooming out and you're still seeing the same signal. It's as above, so below. So all these are practical. There's a reason why King James said, you guys stop using magic. There's a reason why that fucker wrote that book, Demonology. There's a reason why he made it legal for children to freaking witness against adults for witchcraft. There's a reason why he injected the idea that you could never, ever, ever speak any kind of healing into somebody, because that would be called spellcraft. That was a concerted effort to geld your magic, to cut your balls off psychically, and to surround it with ideas of evil and Satan, and then to spoil paganism in the mix and call it all paganism. You can save Christianity. That's what I'm doing. I'm a walking cross, by God. I have my own technology of belief to what I think the cross is supposed to mean. And it's not even speculation or interpretation. This is emanation. This is a truth that I listen to because I speak the language of God. I know every word in the alphabet. I know all the vowels. I know all the consonants. All of us do. And then we intuit. We intuit stuff like this. It's all downloadable. You just can't fill your mind with spelling and words. You can't be exposed to a cosmology from the moment you're born and then expect to experiment with your own. You're going up against 66 books that are pushed really hard. Who's going to listen to someone going, I think we live on a turtle? I really like the turtle idea, by the way. Like, I really like that idea a lot. It makes a lot of sense, man. Turtle's got his own home on his back. And if you think about the resonance, as above, so below, it just, well, what's on his back? Well, there's another turtle and there's another, anyway.
Stacked up turtles kind of look like toroidal fields.
Like what?
Like toroidal fields.
It also reminds me of those stacked, those Indian, that's another thing we're not talking enough about, is those Hindu buildings that are cut out of solid pieces of stone, and they're all resonance. They're like, a little bit smaller, a little bit smaller, a little bit smaller, a little bit smaller, a little bit smaller. It's harmonics, man. All this stuff is about harmonics. Anyway, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm playing catch up in chat, trying to sub to everybody, trying to say thank you all, appreciate it. I'm about to have to run, man. I have a show here in 5.5 hours. Actually.
Oh man, sorry, Walt. Yeah.
No, I'm usually up till at least 10 on the nights of shows, so it's nothing unusual for me to be up. No big deal. I'm glad I spent the time here, man. Like I said, we need to catch up more often, and need to get you over there hanging out with us more often for sure.
Yep. How can people catch your show tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow morning it's TFR on Truth Frequency Radio. We're there. If you go look on tfrlive.com, you'll find us. Ironworx, we're there at 4 a.m. Central, 5 a.m. Eastern. I know that's early. We go 2 hours. We're there Tuesday morning and Friday morning, and then over there on YouTube on Friday afternoon with the whole Iron Realm Media team. We do a show there, and it tends to run just about anywhere. And you've been there quite a few times, sir, and we definitely want to get you back on soon.
Well, you know where to find me.
I do indeed. And synchronistically, while we were on this chat, a good friend of mine, Billy Ray Valentine, texted me wanting to get in touch with you to get you over there on his show. So it's probably a good reason we got together tonight.
Sounds good. Cool. All right. Well, let me see. Riki is, well, don't let me hold you up. I'm not sure if I'm going to sign up or not. I'm not kicking you out, though. I just want you to know that if you got to go, it's cool.
Actually, I was going to drop that link for everybody in chat, but I'm not great multitasker here. Give me a second.
All right, cool. So thoughts on Reiki? Man, that's a good question. So I had a really great experience with Reiki, and I had a really creepy ass experience with Reiki. And so the great experience was I was living in Kansas City, and I was like 24 or something. Jerry Garcia just died. I was on tour with the dead, and I broke down in Kansas City. My van did, and I ended up moving into an apartment there because the city impounded my van, and I had to get a job. And I got a job in the newspaper business, and I moved into this brownstone above this woman named Annie, and Annie was a massage therapist and a witch. Yeah, I'm gonna say witch. It's a there's a lot of weird connotations with that. But she was like an energy worker. And anyway, I was walking barefoot. I did drugs then. I'm not proud of that. Did a lot of acid actually. I haven't done that in many years. I'm not trying to say you should forgive me. I'm just more trying to tell you it's not something I really do or condone right now. I'm just trying to be honest with you. But anyway, so I was like out for a walk barefoot, and I don't think I was actually high or anything. I don't even know why I told you that. I just didn't want to hide it. I just wanted you to know. Probably sober because it was like 5:00. Anyway, I bashed my toe into the concrete, like wow, like right into the concrete, the piece of raised concrete. And I'm like hurting like really bad, and I'm trying to walk home. And that's funny. And I'm gonna have to type chat or else you're gonna get me laughing. And so I'm walking home, and I'm hurting really bad. I'm feeling this throbbing pain. And when I get to the brownstone, Annie comes out the front door. It's not like we know each other that well. She comes out to the front door. She knows I'm there. She knows I'm coming home. And as soon as she comes out to the door, I'm looking right at her, like I know, oh my gosh, I need help. Like I didn't know that she had healing powers. All I thought was, wow, people probably, I guess she's a massage. Like I was really intrigued by what she did. Honestly, I was just like, this beautiful woman, and she doesn't leave her house. She works out of her home. I've heard she does massage. I'd never met a massage therapist before, so I didn't even know what that, like, honestly, at that point, I had all kinds of ideas, and they were enjoyable ideas. I mean, I had no idea what was going on. Anyway, it's before I got to really know her. So, and I should say I was very attracted to her, but I never felt sexually. It's like I was attracted to her in a very different way. In fact, I told her once, I'm really hungry. And I didn't eat for food. It was, I didn't realize at the time I was actually asking her for gnosis. Getting off track. My freaking toe is killing me. I mean, it's like going, whoa, whoa, whoa. And it's just, you can hear the sound of the pulse, and it's a rhythm of pain. It's a pulsing pain. And she sits me down on the front steps, and she does this with her hands. She might have blown into them. I don't know if she did or not. And she puts my toe inside her nest. She creates a nest, and she puts my toe inside. She didn't say a word. I don't think she was making eye contact at me. I was watching her. No idea what was going on. I'd never had any experience like this at all. I came from the South. I'm just trying to say that it just never seen anything like that. The pain. I remember the pain. I remember this boom, boom, boom. And then I remember the alchemy. I remember that for some reason, this pain started as oh God, here it comes again. Oh God, here it comes again. Oh fuck, here it comes again. And that changed to I can't wait for this to come again. I can't wait for this to come again. It was so freaking weird. She like alchemically told me that the thing that was hurting me was the thing that was healing me. Like it was freaking profound, guys. It was like profound. She didn't say a word. She didn't say a word, man. It all she did was create that nest. She created the technology, and my belief was able to go along with this ritual, with this Reiki, with this spell. And that pulse turned from pain into, I'm not going to use the word pleasure because that's not what it was, but into a nurture, into this like plasma nurture energy of just gushing into my toe, like just gushing into it, where I was like thankful. Not like I wasn't enjoying the pain, but I was just thankful for the ability to understand. Sounds weird, but it really captures it. I was thankful for the ability to understand what had just happened to my toe. I was able to treat my toe as a survivor. Instead of the source of my pain, I was able to invoke deep, deep empathy with my toe. And I wasn't saying anymore, okay, I'm jumping to another situation right now because about 4 months ago, right before I was going to New York to see Aaron and the guys, I ran my thumb through a table saw and it went all the way to the bone. Like it went all the way to the bone. And the second it happened, like I was just like, wow, I've really, 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 really cut myself deep. And the first thing you do, right, when you do something like that is typically you cover it, you hide it from yourself. Okay, think about it. You're hiding what happened from yourself. You don't want to look at it. You can't face it. And you know what that is? You're abandoning. I was abandoning my thumb. My body said, "Oh, dude, that sucks. Fuck you. I'm out of here." I can't help you there. I can't help you there. And I was really on it when this happened. I was just like really just on it. I remembered Annie. I was just really on it. And when this happened, I was literally just terrified because it was just I just couldn't believe that I had lost my thumb over something so simple, is what I was thinking. I can't believe that I have to lose my thumb over just this stupid board right here. It's just like everything was going, that's kind of where I was at. I had abandoned my thumb. I had strictly said, screw you, you're on your own. I'm running. I'm getting as far away from my thumb as possible. I'm not even accepting that you're hurt because I'm wrapping it around this. That nothing happened. I just have a paper towel. That's all. That's all that's happening. I am telling my thumb, fuck you. I'm not looking at you. I separated from my thumb. And I realized I can't do this to my thumb. I was in my kitchen and I was like, oh, James, what have you done? What have you done? And then all of a sudden I stopped and I was like, James, think about your thumb. Like, what is your thumb going through right now? And it was beautiful. I had this amazing moment where I noticed that I had disassociated from my thumb. And that disassociation was like, it was like the worst thing I could do to my little guy. I mean, this is my little guy. And as soon as he got hurt, I'm like, oh, I'm out of here. Screw you. It's like the meanest thing I could have possibly done to my thumb is covered it up and left it and said that didn't happen. And to walk around going, how am I going to survive without my thumb? Meanwhile, my thumb is suffering. My thumb is going through some pain. And that moment was probably my first Reiki master moment, if you could ever call something like that, where I started to do what Annie did. I was able to, it already worked the second I realized how selfish I was being with my thumb. That was the first part of the healing, was that I noticed, look how, like, the thumb is the guy that went through all this, and you're up here in your brain pretending like all hell broke loose. But meanwhile, man, your main infantry, like your freaking general, the general of your right hand is bleeding on the battlefield. And you're up here in your general's quarters freaking the fuck out over it. Meanwhile, your general, your main dude is down there right now bleeding on the field. And that if Reiki is real, and I think it is, that's what it is. It's a pranic movement of empathy. It's all empathy, guys. All of this is empathy. That's why you don't see me talk about evil as much as I used to. Because when you call something evil, you might as well call it a narcissist or call it a sociopath and I do all this stuff too. You dehumanize it. You turn it into a beast. You de-thumb it. You declare it no longer a part of your body. You declare it something that's made your life difficult. You're like, thumb, you've made my life difficult. If you would stop hurting, I could get back to my chemical balance that I have situated before you came along. And I don't know if this is true or not, but I know I cut to the bone with the table saw. With the sawzall. And I firmly believe that the Reiki that I did on my thumb, which took hours and hours and hours, and it was no longer a chore. It was I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit here and pump pure love and empathy into my thumb. And I sat my thumb down on the carpet and I told it how sorry I was. I was like, thumb, I'm so sorry I abandoned you. I'm sorry. You guys are probably like, okay, let's call the weird guys, the weird police now, James. But I know you're not doing that, actually. I'm just trying to be funny. But I know that sounds funny, but I know you guys know what I mean. I'm telling you. But by empathizing with my thumb, by saying, I'm so sorry this happened to you, little guy. I'm so sorry. And if I would have been paying more attention, this wouldn't have happened to you. I'm in charge of making sure you're okay. And I just ran a fucking saw right through your neck. And I'm so sorry. And I want you to know it was an accident. I didn't mean to do it. And we're going to be okay. We're going to get through this. And I'm telling you, I think that's why my thumb's better. Like I guys, I can't even remember. It was definitely I don't even see a scar. Like I don't even see a scar from it. And only now do I fully even remember that it wasn't like along the side. It was like right in the edge. And I've never seen my bone before. I've never had that experience. It just happens that I've just never been able to see my own bone. So it was good because I've always wondered, do I actually have a bone there? So it was like a double kind of thing. But that is the good Reiki that I had. And I don't know if I should even tell you about the bad Reiki because it was a parasitic person. So I don't know if I should even bring that up right now. But so I'll excuse me. I will at least say this. I think you have to be careful with people that do energy work. Yeah, I think you have to be careful with people that do energy work. We'll just say that. I think that you need to understand that it's a asynchronous relationship. You're going to have to, your technology belief and their technology belief are merging. And the reason why you have to be careful is because for it to work, you are investing your belief in that other person. And I know the few times that I've met some Reiki people, they're under the impression that they've learned a special skill that was handed down from some special guru that was born from the Merangian tribe of the special DNA and has received the special butt plug from the sacred temple of something. And it can really turn into a really fucked up person you're dealing with. that's like walking around with this really kind of crazy thing. I think if you can find someone that tells you that this is a co-created situation when it comes to healing yourself, that you'll find you'll be more than okay. You'll be good to go. In fact, another anecdote. One time I went to a friend's house. He was having kidney stones, and because my stepdad had kidney stones, I just really remember feeling just how much that had to hurt my dad. I could just see it in his face. I could just see it, and because of that, it gave me some skills when it came to empathizing with that pain. This actually could have been a coincidence. I'll say that now. This could have just been a coincidence, but I was in Asheville, was at my buddy Dave's house. His friend named Pug was there, and Pug was laid up in bed, and I didn't know Pug that well. And we went upstairs, and he said, I just want to say hey to Pug. And I came in with him, and Pug was in bed. And I walked up to Pug, and I put my hands right on his, like right on his side, like his abdomen where it was hurting. But I didn't know what was wrong with him yet. Like I didn't know that. Now, if I was like a Reiki psychopath kind of dude, like a predator, I could be telling you, when I entered the room, I was embraced with a strong presence. There was a jaguar that hung from a tree, and its one ball was bigger than the other. And I knew that this, it was nothing like that. But I'm literally saying, I don't know why I put my hand there. It probably was coincidence. I don't know. All I know is that when I put it there, Pug's face lit up, and he looked me right in the face, and he goes, "Oh God, don't stop." And it was like, I mean, that was, so what did I do is I didn't stop. Like I was like, okay, I'm not gonna fuck anything up. I'm just gonna not do anything. Now, I think what would make me like someone you could trust in Reiki is because I'm saying this. I don't think I did shit. I think what happened is that I personally think what it was that because I touched Pug right there at that moment, he's like looking for opportunities to heal himself, right? Like he's looking for that. And because I touched him right there where it hurt, he was able to see an out in his brain. An out meaning he was able to say, holy shit, I can unlock all this adrenaline healing. And I'm going to do it by saying that James was able to touch me in just the right spot, that he was able to release my own chakra field, blah, blah, whizzy woo, sungo, and around and turn this and twist that and change the congruent gear ratios of whatever the fuck it takes him to say that, guys. The fact is that because I happen to touch him in the right place, he's able to open up his own vessels and turn that. And I think that Annie is a much more advanced version of me. In other words, she's just understood the technology of belief. And that's why Annie carries herself. I don't even know how to describe how she carried herself. It was elegant, would be like a bitch slap to how well she carried herself. To call that elegant would be like bitch slapping it. It's like such not a good word to carry herself. It was a divine elegance that it emoted belief in you because you saw how powerful she was, if that makes sense. Like you just by sheerly understanding, well, she's in a human form too. Like there's no way that this is not something that I would be capable of. Like she had that technology where she was able to bring that out in other people. And if I ever am going to try or be good or be talented, it will only be because I've learned how to harness someone else's technology and let them do whatever it is they want to do, whatever it is they've been trying to do anyway, just not to fuck it up. If I accidentally touch here and his face lights up, don't move your hand. You know, and if I have to nod my head, be like, yeah, yeah, you know, and pretend like this is just business as usual. If that's what it takes, then that's cool. But I can't be the dude that's going to be like, yeah, well, you know, I had an enema today, and I spent 3 years in Costa Rica helping the indigenous people. So karmically, I'm owed something because I'm such an old soul. You know, I mean, just shit like that. It's not even to say shit like that, because there's actually people like out there that actually go to Costa Rica and charge. So I'm not even trying to say that. I'm just trying to say that Reiki makes me nervous when people talk about it. But when they do it, I'm not nervous at all about it. I like the people that don't talk about it. I like the people that are like Luke when he walks in a Jabba the Hutt. And for the first 5 or 10 minutes, he never says a word. He doesn't have to talk. There's no truth in talk, guys. All talk is excuses to basically to not do. Well, thank you, man. Have a good one.
Love you,
Enjoy your show
brother.
tomorrow.
Thank you so much. Y'all come check us out in the morning. We'll
Yeah,
see y'all
guys.
Friday.
Yep. Definitely check him out. And Friday too. He's got a great show on Friday.
Yeah, I dropped the link there in chat earlier. So
All right, cool.
thank you, James. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll talk to you later.
All right. All right, guys. Now it's just me. I would imagine you guys are like, okay, we're out of here now. But that was fun, and I'm glad you guys stayed. I don't see anything else in here, so I think it's probably cool. Actually, it's close to midnight, so, and I have a call tomorrow with somebody at 10 tomorrow. I recorded an interview tonight in Germany, not in German, so that'll come out in the next few days. And yeah. Hey, you guys want to hit like? That'd be cool. What do you think of Carol Quigley? Carol Quigley. Doesn't ring a bell. That doesn't mean I don't know who it is, because it sounds familiar, but I can't. Sorry, I need more information than that. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off unless someone says, talk about this, but we've talked about a lot, This probably be better. This actually might even be a better thing to end it, sort of like now. Author of Tragedy and Hope, Georgetown professor. I'll have to look into that. Again, it sounds familiar, but I don't have all the best brain capacity. Like I do, but it's only about certain topics, and then I lose it because I get into something else. And yeah, so hey guys, thanks for watching. If you get your silver, if you come back, we'll be doing more stuff with silver. I am wearing pants, but I'm about to not be, and I'm not going to do that while I'm on here. So all right, guys, thanks a lot. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for tuning in. And hopefully I'm not streaming too much. I hope I'm not, yeah, but we'll find out. You guys will probably just stop watching if I do. I appreciate you guys. Have a great night. And we'll see you next time.